Recording in progress.
Good morning, honorable members. I would like to extend a word of welcome to all of you who have logged into this virtual mini-plenary session. There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. Honorable members, before we proceed, I would like to remind you that the virtual mini-plenary is deemed to be in the precincts of Parliament and constitutes a meeting of the National Assembly for debating purposes only. In addition to the rules of virtual sittings, the rules of the National Assembly, including the rules of debate, apply. Members enjoy the same powers and privileges that apply in a sitting of the National Assembly. Members should equally note that anything said in the virtual platform is deemed to have been said to the House and may be ruled upon. All members who have logged in shall be considered to be present and are requested to mute their microphones and only unmute when recognized to speak. The microphones are very sensitive and will pick up noise which may disturb the attention of other members. And when recognized to speak, please unmute your microphone, and where connectivity permits, connect your video. Members may make use of the icons on the bar at the bottom of their screens, which has an option that allows a member to put up his or her hand to raise a point of order. The Secretariat will assist me in this regard. When using the virtual system, members are urged to refrain or desist from unnecessary points of order or interjections. Lastly, I wish to remind you that we are in a meeting in a mini-plenary session, and therefore any decisions will be taken in a full plenary session of the Assembly. The first item on the order paper is a motion in the name of the Honorable J S Malema. I've been informed that the Honorable N.J. Nolochungu will take charge of the motion on behalf of the Honorable Malema. I now recognize the Honorable Nolochungu.
Thank you very much, Chair, and please allow me not to open my video. I have a problem of network.
I understand. You may proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, we rise today to confront the unresolved question of colonial memory and its poisonous symbols. Across South Africa, in front of this very Parliament, And in the heart of Tswana, statues of colonial conquerors and apartheid leaders stand unchallenged. They are not neutral symbols of history. They are monuments of colonialism and material reminders that although the political regime of apartheid has been formally defeated, the ideological, cultural, and economic structures of conquest remained intact. A statue is never innocent. It is a form of political communication, a claim to space, a declaration of who belongs and who does not. In the language of decolonial scholars, statues of colonizers are an imposition of power, reminding us of how European conquest is normalized, celebrated, and reproduced across generations. When you arrived at this parliament, you are confronted by the statue of Louis Botha. He is glorified as a statesman, yet in reality, he was a general of violence, a prime minister of white supremacy, and a defender of racial segregation. His statue stands here to remind us that the parliament we occupy today was never meant for the African majority. That statue communicates that we, as African people, remain visitors in our own legislative chambers. In Tshwane, the Paul Kruger statue sits arrogantly at the Union Building, taking pride of place at the seat of the post-democratic government. In Cape Town, the statue of Jan van Riebeeck still stands on the foreshore, celebrating the very beginning of colonial conquest in 1652. At the University of Cape Town, the statue of the land thief, Cecil John Rhodes, once looked down arrogantly over African students until the brave Rhodes Must Fall movement of 2015 forced its removal. Yet across Kimberley and in Cape Town's Company Gardens, Rhodes is still honored. In Durban, Cape Town, and Gqeberha, statues of Queen Victoria still decorate city centers. When under her reign, Africans were conquered, killed, and dispossessed across the continent in the name of British Empire. Today, the Voortrekker Monument continues to tower over our nation's capital, a tribute to white supremacy, built to glorify the so-called civilizing mission of Voortrekkers, when in fact they were armed invaders who seized land from African kingdom.
Honorable Member, my apologies for that. Honorable Swarts, will you please mute your microphone? If the member can't mute, please remove the member from the platform. Thank you.
In Makhanda, the settlers monument continues to celebrate the European settlers who displaced Xhosa communities, erasing their heroism of African resistance. Honorable members, these statues are a celebration of the conquest of Africans. They are trophies erected not to tell history, but to legitimize colonial occupation. That is why they were placed in city centers, in front of parliament, on the highest hills, so that every African child growing up under colonialism would look up and see his or her oppressor portrayed as a hero. And today, 30 years into democracy, these conquerors remain on their pedestals, while the African people remain landless, jobless, and hungry. That is not a coincidence. The presence of these statues reflects the persistence of oppression in the present. The dispossession they represent has not been undone, and the economic system they created, where the wealth of the land is concentrated in a few white hands, remains in place. As a result, the humiliation of African people continues, materially in the conditions of property and symbolically in the monuments that decorate our public space. This is why decolonization is more than just land restitution or economic justice. It is also about reclaiming our spaces of memory, our symbols, our narratives. As long as Rhodes, Kruger, and Botha occupy the central spaces of our cities, they continue to dominate our cultural imagination and also continue the violence of erasing our heroes and elevating our oppressors. Let us ask ourselves, where are the statues of Chief Maqoma, who resisted colonial invasion in the Eastern Cape? Where is monument of King Hintsa, brutally murdered by British soldiers? Where do we honor King Moshoeshoe or the warriors of Isandlwana who defeated the British in 1879? These heroes are either absent, hidden in provincial museum, or relegated to the margins of our heritage. Meanwhile, the colonizers occupy the most prestigious sites of our nation, privileging of colonial history over African history. Some will argue that these statues are part of our history, but whose history? For the African majority, they are not history. They are wounds left open. They are symbols that continue to tell us we are conquered, that we are inferior, and that we are tolerated in our own land. Heritage must be about dignity and liberation, not humiliation. Honorable members, decolonization demands that we do more than remove these statues. It demands that we recenter African memory in our public spaces. Imagine approaching this parliament and being greeted by a monument of Solomon Mahlangu, who declared that his blood would nourish the tree of freedom in South Africa. Imagine Church Square is transformed into a space that honors the Marikana workers who died demanding a living wage. Imagine our cities adorned with the names and images of those who resisted slavery, colonialism, and apartheid. We must also challenge the hypocrisy of those who claim that removing colonial statues is an attack on history. History is preserved in museums, in archives, in books, in classrooms. However, to elevate a colonizer in the heart of a democratic city does not preserve history, but simply continues domination by allowing the conqueror to rule from the grave. Therefore, honorable members, the EFF says, let us begin the true decolonization of our public spaces. Remove Louis Botha from Parliament. Remove Paul Kruger from Pretoria. Remove Rose from every pedestal. Let us dismantle the colonial geography of memory and build a new landscape of African dignity. In conclusion, we must understand that struggle against statues is part of the broader struggle for African liberation. It is connected to land, to wealth, to education, and to power. As long as the conquerors remained immortalized in stone, the African people remained symbolically conquered. Therefore, let us finish the unfinished business of liberation. Let us tear down these monuments of humiliation and replace them with monuments of our own heroes. Only then can we walk through our cities and feel pride and not shame. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Delanga.
Good morning, House Chair. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Good morning, House Chair, honorable members. Allow me, Chair, based on the network issues, not to show my video. Chair, I stand before this House today to address one of the most fundamental questions of our post-apartheid democracy, on how we transform our heritage landscape to reflect the true aspirations of the South African people. The discussion over apartheid and colonial statues is not merely about bronze and stone. It is about the national question itself, the very core of our national democratic revolution. The theory of the national question, as articulated by the African National Congress over decades, recognizes that South Africa represents colonization of a special type, where both the colonizer and the colonizee share the same geographic space. This unique condition demands that our national democratic revolution address the antagonistic contradiction between the oppressed majority and their historical oppressors, while simultaneously resolving the national grievance arising from the colonial relations. The national oppression operates not only at a material level, but also at a superstructural level of consciousness, feelings, and perceptions. This is precisely why the continued presence of apartheid and colonial statues in our public spaces represents modern symbolic violence. It is a material emasculation of unresolved national contradictions. The heritage landscape has always been a battlefield for competing narratives on nationhood. Under colonial and apartheid rule, statues and the naming of public spaces served as an instrument of subjugation, deliberately designed to alienate African voices while affirming white supremacy and domination. Every monument to Jan van Riebeeck, every tribute to Harry Fenfoot was tragically placed to entrench a particular vision of whose history mattered. The towering statues of Louis Botha outside Parliament is perhaps the most glaring example of this symbolic violence. Here stands a man who must bear responsibility for the 1913 Native Land Act, which criminalized the sale or rental of land to Africans in the 1990s of their own country. Yet, they command the entrance to the People's Parliament. The location of these statues matters, Honorable Chair. Our public spaces must be a representation of our identity, values, and what we honor. Directly placing these colonial and apartheid statues in prominent places, such as the entrance of Parliament or a university, is an act of symbolic violence and send the wrong message that oppressors and land thieves can stand tall at the face and heart of our democratic institution. This contradicts the very spirit of Freedom Charter, our constitution, and undermines our strides towards social cohesion and nation building. This is why Cecil John Rhodes had to fall at the University of Cape Town, and it is why, as the ANC, we are calling for the statues of Louis Botha, which stand tall at the entrance of Parliament, to also fall. We call for the statues of Louis Botha to be either placed in a less prominent area, with historical context curated or placed at a museum. This is a call not for the erasure of history, but rather for its responsible recontextualization. Honorable Chairperson, our response to this contested terrain must be grounded in the foundational principles of our democracy. The Freedom Charter Declaration that South Africa belongs to live with it, black and white together, does not mean that all historical narratives deserve equal celebration in our public spaces. Non-racialism is not the erasure of historical injustice or the pretense that all perspectives are equal valid. Rather, it is an active construction of a South African identity that acknowledges our painful past while building towards unity in diversity. The Constitution's commitment to human dignity demands that we create a public space where all South Africans walk with their heads held high. When young black South Africans pass statues celebrating those who denied their grandparents basic human rights, we perpetuate the very division that our democracy was meant to heal. We must be honest about the pain inflicted by the continued presence of these monuments to oppression. Our approach to heritage transformation is not new or reactive. It is grounded in the decades of a clear policy articulation. In our Ready to Govern document of 1992, we envisage a flourishing cultural life vital to South African well-being, where arts and culture and heritage would serve nation building and democratic national identity creation. Our national conference, in particular the 55th conference, took a decisive decision or a position, resolving that apartheid and colonial statues should be removed or replaced through consultative processes. This resolution recognized the need to balance historical preservation with democratic transformation and social cohesion imperatives. We are not vandals seeking to destroy history. We are Democrats seeking to democratize our heritage landscape. Honorable Chairperson, the opposition has consistently mischaracterized our position, presenting it as a choice between preservation and destruction. This is a false dichotomy, revealing their inability to grasp the complexity of the national question. Our approach recognizes the difference between removal and repositioning, between erasure and contextualization. Some monuments may require removal from prominent public spaces, where they continue to inflict symbolic violence on our citizens. The Louis border statue outside Parliament is one such example. It cannot be contextualized in a way that eliminates its symbolic violence in that location. Its removal would be an act of democratic hygiene, clearing a space for new monuments, reflecting our constitutional values. Other statues may be repositioned to less prominent positions, museums or heritage sites, where they can serve educational purposes within proper historical context. This approach preserves historical artifacts while ending their functions as monument to oppression. Museums can present complex historical narratives, acknowledging the full context of colonial and apartheid figures without celebrating them. The reposition of problematic statues to museums is not punishment, it is contextualization. Our commitment to consultative processes reflects our democratic values and the understanding that heritage transformation must be a collective undertaking. However, consultation does not mean capitulation to those who preserve apartheid monuments in their current form. It means engaging communities, heritage professionals, affected stakeholders in determining how best to achieve our shared goal of transformed heritage landscape, reflecting democratic values. Transformation of our heritage landscape is fundamental about advancing healing, unity, and social cohesion. This is not about punishing the past. It's about creating a future where all South Africans can see themselves reflected in our public spaces. Every statue, every democratic hero erected, every colonial monument contextualized, every apartheid symbol removed from position of honor, represent a step towards the non-racial, non-sexist democratic society envisaged in the Freedom Charter. Honorable Chair, some in this House, like the Patriotic Alliance, have wrongly argued that statues removal creates sanitized public spaces, reflecting government-approved history. This argument, Honorable Chair, is fundamentally misunderstands public monuments' nature. All public monuments reflect choices about whose history and celebrate the choice. Honorable Chair, on conclusion, as the ANC, we reject the proposal for ad hoc committee. Instead, we call the Department of Sports and Culture to expedite the process on the work done and report to the Parliament. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. The next speaker is the Honorable Chingila.
A very good morning, Chairperson and honorable members. Maybe to ask for permission not to open the video due to connectivity issues in my current location.
You may proceed, Honorable Member.
Honorable Chairperson, Umkhonto weSizwe Party rises to express its full support for the draft resolution before this House. We do so not simply as a matter of symbolic correction, but as a matter of national healing, dignity, and Afrocentric transformation. The resolution correctly notes that 1 year into democracy, our public spaces remain littered with symbols of oppression. These statues, memorials, and names are not neutral objects. They are daily reminders of oppression, humiliation, and subjugation. They perpetuate the mental harm of apartheid by keeping the perpetrators of crime against humanity carved in bronze, stone, and marble on the very soil from which they stripped our people's dignity. This House must be honest with itself. We cannot build genuine unity, cohesion, and pride while we ask the majority to walk past monuments that glorify their tormentors. Our democratic spaces cannot remain museums of colonial conquest. The MK Party has long argued this point as early as April in 2025 in the Chief Whips Forum. We tabled a position that called for a structural program of Afrocentric transformation within the People's Parliament and beyond. The program made clear that the statues and symbols of oppression must be removed from places of honor and relocated to facilities where they can be engaged with consciously, historically, and educationally, rather than confronted daily as instruments of dehumanization. This resolution echoes and affirms that call. Honorable members, our perspectives goes deeper than that, deeper than what is characterized by the Democratic Alliance. The question before us is not only what we remove, but what we elevate in its place. A vacuum of identity is dangerous. The MK party insists that the removal of apartheid symbols must be accompanied by the celebration and elevation of African heritage, African leadership, and African values. It is why we have spoken about a parliament that reflects the soul of its people, an Afrocentric parliament. We have proposed that the Good Hope Chamber be renamed the Ubuntu Chamber so that our deliberations are guided not by colonial conquest, but by the principle of Ubuntu, that I am because we are. We proposed that the bell be replaced by an African drum, calling us to order not with important clangs of iron, but with the heartbeat of this continent. We have called for the replacement of the statue of Louis Botha, a symbol of colonial violence, with a monument of the Khoi and the San leaders such as David Sturman, Harry Distran Luoper, or Korotua. In doing so, we would not erase history, but correct it. We would inscribe in stone the truth that this land was not discovered on Friday, 6 April 1652, when settlers landed in Table Bay, led by Jan van Riebeeck. We have argued that the speaker's procession, marked by silence, it should be led by Imbongi, a praise poet calling upon the traditions to dignify the authority of this house. We have said that our State of the Nation address should begin with a libation to the ancestors, acknowledging that governance does not rest on the shoulders of Europe, but on the shoulders of those who resisted dispossession from the hills of Isandlwane to the streets of Soweto. Honorable Chairperson, the resolution before us today must be understood in its broader spirit. The removal of apartheid symbol must not be approached as a grudging administrative exercise. It must be seized as an opportunity for national renewal, an opportunity to build a South Africa where our children do not grow up admiring statues of those who murdered their forefathers, but instead are inspired by monuments that honor those who resisted, built, and died for freedom. The MK party does not call for the destruction of these symbols. They must be preserved, but preserved in places of learning where their role in oppression is confronted honestly. What we reject is their continued dominance over our democratic landscape. Therefore, honorable members, the MP party supports this resolution wholeheartedly. We call on all members of this house to support it not as an act of partisan, but as an act of justice, of dignity, and an act of healing. Let us establish the ad hoc committee. Let us hear the voices of our people across provinces. Let us work with Heritage Council and cultural institutions. But above all, let us all have the courage to say apartheid has no place of honor in democratic South Africa. We remind the House that the preamble of our Constitution commits us to heal the divisions of the past. Healing requires not only economic transformation, not only land restitution, but also cultural reclamation. Walk proudly into the future. We must root our symbols out of humiliation and plant in their place the symbols of our pride. In conclusion, honorable members, the MK party stands ready to contribute constructively to this process, bringing to the table our Afrocentric proposals that were first presented in April. We do so with a firm conviction that a parliament, a nation, and a people anchored in African values will never again be marginalized in the land of their birth. We support this resolution. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is Honourable Okam.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, our Constitution is the framework for reconciliation, and not a lot has been said about our Constitution today. The preamble of our Constitution says that we, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustices of our past. We honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land. We respect those who have worked to build and develop our country. And we believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. This preamble, Honourable Chairperson, is instructive. It does not call on us to erase or demolish parts of our past. It does not call on us to diminish or exclude. Instead, it asks us to recognize injustices, to honor those who fought for freedom, and equally to respect those who contributed to building our country. It emphasizes the fact that we are united in our diversity. These are not mere words on paper. They are a promise to every South African that our diversity will be embraced and that we will build unity not by erasure, but by recognition. The Democratic Alliance cannot support this motion brought by the Honourable Malema, not because we deny our painful history, not because we are blind to the injustices of apartheid. No, Honourable Chairperson, we oppose it because it is an unnecessary, divisive and costly distraction from the real challenges facing South Africa today. Honourable members, statues and memorials are not mere pieces of stone and bronze, as it has been said here this morning. They are physical markers of history, sometimes painful, sometimes glorious, but always a reminder of where we have come from. The very presence of apartheid-era memorials does not glorify apartheid. Rather, it offers us a mirror into our past and a reminder of how far we have come. The Democratic Alliance firmly believes in nation building. Removing or moving statues, tearing down memorials, or the renaming of every town and every street will not build a nation. On the contrary, it will seek and it risks deepening the racial divisions that the Honourable Malema and the EFF have consistently sought to exploit for racial and political gain. Honourable Chairperson, we cannot build a united South Africa by erasing our history. Nation building is not about denial, it is about inclusion. It is about recognizing the full breadth of our history, both the painful and the proud chapters. When the EFF seeks to remove or to move these statues and memorials, they are not advancing unity, they are sowing further discord. They are dragging us back into the us versus them mentality that has got no place in democratic South Africa. If we look beyond our borders, Honourable Chairperson, we find countless examples of societies that chose to preserve history rather than to erase it. In Germany, for instance, remnants of the Berlin Wall still stand today, not because anyone wishes to glorify division, but because they serve as an enduring reminder of the dangers of ideological extremism. In Eastern Europe, statues and memorials from the communist era remain in public spaces so that new generations can know and understand the past rather than to be shielded from it. South Africa, too, must follow this path of maturity. We cannot allow ourselves to believe that by demolishing or moving a statue or memorial, we demolish the injustices of history. History does not work that way. Honourable Speaker, what makes this debate so troubling is the context in which it is being raised. Our nation today is facing an unprecedented crisis. Over 32% of our people are unemployed. Our young people especially have little hope of finding work. Corruption has hollowed out our institutions. Service delivery has collapsed in municipalities across the country. Millions of children go to bed hungry every night. Our healthcare system is under severe strain and service delivery is but a pipe dream. In this context, honourable members, should this Parliament's priority be pouring scarce public funds into an ad hoc committee to discuss whether statues or memorials should be torn down or moved? Or should we as Parliament put our time and money towards the upliftment of our people? The Democratic Alliance say that South Africans deserve a Parliament that is focused on the real struggles of the people of this country, such as poverty, unemployment, inequality, hunger, corruption, failing municipalities. Let me carry on. We should not spend our time on politically driven symbolic gestures that change nothing about the lived reality of our people. Let us also speak frankly about cost. Removing or the moving of statues and memorials and the renaming of towns and the rebranding of public spaces is not free. It requires millions of rands. This is money that should be spent on fixing potholes, building schools, providing water and sanitation, repairing hospitals, and creating job opportunities, instead of wasting it on what amounts to be political theater. Honorable Chairperson, the real moral question before us is whether we can look a hungry child in the eye and say to him or her that we could have provided them with a meal, but instead we as Parliament opted to spend the money on the renaming of a street or the removal of a memorial. That would be a disgrace. Honorable Speaker, Chairperson, the DA proposes a different approach. Rather than tearing down, let us build. Rather than erasing, let us add. Let us go and build a monument at Marikana without having to tear down other monuments. Let us erect new statues and new memorials that honor the heroes of our democracy. Let us build a landscape where our public spaces reflect the full tapestry of our history. This approach recognizes our diversity, it honors our constitution, and it will build our national story, one that reflects the preamble of our constitution that say that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. Honorable Chairperson, in conclusion, the Honorable Malema's motion and the EFF's motion is not about unity. It is also not about justice, and it is definitely not about building a better South Africa. Instead, it is about political posturing, it is about deepening divisions, and it is about distraction. The Democratic Alliance will not support the establishment of this ad hoc committee. We will instead continue to fight for jobs, growth, service delivery, safety, and the opportunity for all South Africans to live here, because that is what truly matters. Let us not waste time, Honorable Chairperson, and money on erasing our past. Let us spend our time and our resources on building a future for every South African that truly deserves a better chance. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Adebe.
Thank you so much, Honorable House Chairperson. If you would also allow me not to use the video.
You may proceed, Honourable Member.
Thank you. Honorable House Chairperson, the IFP notes the motion for the establishment of yet another ad hoc committee. While the subject of our heritage is undeniably important, the proliferation of ad hoc committees raises a serious concern about fruitless and wasteful expenditure at a time when our country faces pressing socio-economic challenges. The IFP has been clear: monuments that illustrate our divided past should not be dismantled or erased, but rather repositioned and contextualized so that future generations may remember and learn. The late IFP founder, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, often reminded us, I quote, "It is said that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it." They serve as a crucial reference point in our nation's collective memory, as they are not only remind us where we come from, but also of the sacrifices made, the mistakes, as well as the triumphs that have shaped our democracy. Therefore, to erase them means creating gaps in our national story. Furthermore, the fixation on forming new committees for issues already ventilated in this House does not serve our people well. Millions of South Africans are poverty-stricken, unemployed, and lack basic services. Yet we continue to sink resources into structures whose recommendations too often gather dust. The IFP maintains that the transformation of our heritage landscape must be inclusive, balanced, and reflective of our entire nation's story, not biased towards any single narrative. If the objective is genuine nation building, then the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture already has the mandate and expertise to lead this process transparently in consultation with communities, historians, and traditional leaders, inclusive of sub-programs such as relocation of statues, legacy projects, and heritage policies, and legislation for the preservation, conservation, and management of South African heritage. To duplicate this work through a new ad hoc committee is unnecessary and fiscal irresponsibly. Heritage should be a bridge, not a battlefield. Every rand must be stretched to serve the people, not lost to inefficiency, duplications, or poor planning. Wasteful expenditure erodes the very resources meant to build schools, hospitals, infrastructure, and jobs. The IFP therefore calls for utilizing existing institutions effectively for education purposes so that history is presented in its totality and to channel limited resources towards pressing priorities that restore dignity through service delivery, not duplicative committees. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is Honourable Matopa.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair, honorable members. The Patriotic Alliance rises today not to defend the past, but to defend the future. We acknowledge the pain and the injustice of apartheid. We honor the struggle of our people, but we reject the politics of destruction and division. The resolution before us, proposed by Honorable Malema, seeks to establish an ad hoc committee to investigate apartheid-era statues and memorials. Let us be clear, this is not about justice. It is about ideological theatre. It is about symbolic battles that do not feed the hungry, do not house the homeless, and do not protect our women and children from crime. We do not support the indiscriminate removal of historical statues. We support contextualization. Let the statues stand, not as glorification, but as reminders of what we overcame. Let us add plaques, educational displays, and counter monuments that tell the full story. We must teach our children how far we've come, not erase the evidence of where we started. Removing statues does not remove inequality. It does not remove corruption. It does not remove failure of leadership. While some debate statues, we debate crime, unemployment, and illegal immigration. Honorable Lonzi made a statement yesterday that the township economy is not owned by South Africans and how they're being charged. Isn't it the very illegal foreigners you're calling your brothers who owns it? Sisame kulondawo asibhayizi mabahambe. The Patriotic Alliance calls for mandatory national service for youth, zero tolerance for violent crime, and economic empowerment through industrialization and land access. We are building a South Africa where every citizen matters, not just those who shout the loudest. We do not need more committees. We need more action. Let us not forget the same voices calling for statue removals are silent on corruption and service delivery. They weaponize history while ignoring the present. Honorable Gayton Mackenzie has defended symbols like the Springbok, not because they are perfect, but because they unite South Africans across the race and class. We must stop dividing our people over symbols and start uniting them over solutions. The minister is being attacked because he closed some tabs of corruption. We are not afraid to defend our people's dignity, and we are not afraid to say, leave the statues, but change the system. Let us build museums, not committees. Let us build jobs, not ideological battlegrounds. Let us build a South Africa where history is remembered, but never repeated. Just yesterday, you were all embracing diversity, culture, talking about building, uniting, and Ubuntu. Was that just a show? Let us build and not break. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Mulder.
Honourable Chairperson, the economy is not growing. Unemployment is more than 33%. South Africans are desperate for jobs and the opportunity to earn a decent wage. However, the EFF and the Honourable Nulanswanga wants to rather debate the presence of the apartheid-era statues and memorials. They did not bring a subject for discussion today, but they brought a draft resolution to once again to try to trick the ANC and other parties, just like they did way back 4 years ago with the Section 25 debate on expropriation and property rights. Why is this relevant? The honourable member from the EFF who spoke referred to a number of examples, amongst them President Paul Kruger in front of the Union buildings. There's no statue of President Paul Kruger in front of the Union buildings. She also said that these statues make her feel inferior. No one can make you feel inferior but yourself. King Dinizulu Kachechawayu was born in 1868. By 1884, Zibepa attacked the young king who was only 16 at the time. He asked the British to help, but none came. It was General Louis Botha and the Boers who came to the rescue of the young king. In 1906, after the Bambata Rebellion took place, King Dinizulu was accused by the British of being the alleged instigator of the Bambata Rebellion. He was found guilty by the British of high treason and sentenced to prison in 1908. However, in 1910, when South Africa became a union, his old friend, General Louis Botha, who then became Prime Minister of the Union of South Africa, in one of the first things that he did was to release King Dinizulu from prison immediately. Today in eThekwini, on the corner of Berea Road and Warwick Avenue, there are two statues facing each other, one of General Louis Botha and one of King Dinizulu Kachechawayu, celebrating their friendship. That is the same General Louis Botha who the EFF wants to take down. In South Africa today, we have builders and breakers. If I listen to this debate, luckily the majority are builders who positively want to recognize the reality of our history, but also then to build and give recognition to our new heroes and our new statesmen, and that we will support. There are breakers who want to try and defeat everything what happened in the past, also in terms of history. But that will make no difference to the fact that our economy is not growing and that our people don't have jobs. The Freedom Front Plus will also not support this resolution. Let's get busy building and moving South Africa forward, and those who want to break will be taken back to the extinction of our political society. Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is the Honorable Kobe.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, Action SA agrees that the work of building a nation that truly represents all of its people is far from complete. We continue to grapple with the powerful legacies of our very painful past, and one of those legacies is the nature of our shared public spaces and heritage. Transforming these spaces into ones that reflect our democratic, non-racial, rights-based dispensation is indeed an important and noble goal, and Action SA's position is clear on this matter. We support efforts to make these changes, but we must also recognize that while changing statues and monuments may form part of this process, it is in itself not an end. Replacing a statue does not change the lived realities of our people, House Chair. These realities are defined by poverty, unemployment, and crime. We must ask ourselves, will a statue lift a family out of poverty? The answer is no. Will a statue put food on the table? Again, no. Will a statue stop the rampage of gangs on the Cape Flats? No. And this is the harsh reality. But can a statue and our shared public spaces shape how people view themselves in a free and democratic society? The answer is yes. And this is the tension that this House must carefully and soberly confront. While Action SA is not opposed to revisiting how our public spaces reflect our democratic ideals, we question whether this should sit at the very top of Parliament's many priorities. With millions of South Africans struggling daily for dignity, opportunity, and safety, we must carefully balance symbolism with substance. Furthermore, Honourable House Chair, Action SA does not believe that establishing an entirely new ad hoc committee, as proposed by the EFF, is necessary. And there are two reasons for this. Firstly, public spaces and statues are governed by National Heritage Resources Act. The real problem is not the absence of legislation here, but the chronic underfunding of the National Heritage Resource Agency, which is tasked with carrying out this important work. Parliament should therefore prioritize adequately funding this agency rather than creating an entirely new committee. Secondly, Parliament already has a dedicated portfolio committee on sports, arts and culture, which is fully equipped to deal with these matters. It is far more efficient, more responsible, and more respectful of the limited resources of our state to place this agenda within the mandate of that committee, rather than duplicating efforts. Honorable House Chair, let us reimagine our public spaces to be reflective of all South Africans and capacitate the existing structures to do this work while never losing sight of the urgent work to substantively transform the lives of our people first. Thank you very much, House Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Maimela. Is the Honourable Member on the platform? The Honourable Maimela? If the member is not on the platform, yes, please proceed, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, House Chair, and good morning to all members who are on the platform. Chair, I'm also going to just request to not do my camera because of network challenges.
Please proceed.
House Chair, the African National Congress has long understood that the National Democratic Revolution is about addressing the unresolved national question and creating a united, non-racial, non-sexist, and democratic society. Our heritage landscape remains contested because the colonial and apartheid legacies continue to manifest in monuments that glorify white supremacy and racial domination. When we see statues of Jan Hendrik Hofmeyr, Maria van Riebeck, and other symbols of oppression standing prominently in our public spaces, we're reminded that the transformation project we started in 1994 remains incomplete. The ANC's position clearly distinguishes between the removal and repositioning of contested heritage. We do not support blanket destruction. Our approach is nuanced and consultative. Former Minister Nathi Mthethwa captured our position well when referring to colonial and apartheid statues, stating that we want to keep them in a museum, not destroy them, because our policy of reconciliation is that we should forgive each other but never forget. The African National Congress resolved that apartheid and colonial statues should be removed or replaced with proposals that have been reached through a consultative process. This demonstrates our commitment to dialogue while maintaining the principle that symbols of oppression cannot continue dominating our public spaces. In appreciating the context that has brought this debate forward, we acknowledge the work of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, working with the South African Heritage Resources Agency and the South African Geographical Names Councils, among other essential structures and stakeholders, to implement comprehensive programs of audits, systems, policy instruments that have demonstrated ongoing work to safeguard, transform, and memorialize South Africa's heritage in line with our constitutional values. To this end, the South African Heritage Resources Agency publishes reports on the state of the national cultural heritage. In 2021, the agency successfully conducted a national audit of all statues that are not in line with the values of the Constitution, where approximately 1,153 heritage monuments and statues were identified. However, despite knowing where and how many statues need to be removed or repositioned, limited resources have altered implementation. The transformation of our heritage landscape cannot stop at merely removing and repositioning oppressive symbols. We must also be concerned with actively creating narratives that celebrate our struggles, resistance, and resilience. The resistance and liberation heritage route, which our 55th ANC National Conference resolved to expedite, demonstrates this positive agenda. We must ask, whose statues should we build and why? Our public spaces should celebrate heroes like Oliver Tambo, Albertina Sisulu, Chris Hani, and other icons of the liberation struggle. The recent discussion about erecting Solomon Mahlangu statue in Pretoria Church Square represents exactly this type of transformative memorialization. We also note the imperative role of youth voices in transforming our heritage landscape, as demonstrated by movements like Rhodes Must Fall and campaigns surrounding the Steyn statue. The University of the Free State's removal of Martina's Thina Steyn statue following students' protests and vandalism demonstrates how active citizenry shapes heritage decision-making, as well as contributes to shaping a just, representative, and inclusive South Africa. This grassroots movement forced institutions to confront uncomfortable truths about their symbolic landscapes and lay a blueprint for the type of South African future, for the type of South Africa future generations will inherit from us. Research, science, and innovation are equally important in this discussion. The fourth industrial revolution presents unprecedented opportunities for heritage transformation and preservation. Digital technologies can document, preserve, and disseminate indigenous knowledge systems that colonial education deliberately suppressed. Our partnership with the National Research Foundation must prioritize research into African knowledge systems, oral histories, and archives of the liberation struggle. Digital preservation techniques can capture testimonies from struggle veterans before we lose these living treasures forever. We must equally ensure that indigenous knowledge systems are integrated into heritage research and documentation. The systematic exclusion of African innovations in metallurgy, agriculture, and construction from our educational curricula represents a form of cultural colonialism that technology can help us to reverse. Our current heritage landscape suffers from severe geographic and gender imbalances. Public monuments concentrated in wild areas where most liberation activities occur remain unmarked. What comes out of this debate is how the gender dimension is particularly stuck. Artist Stembile Msezani's powerful live performance during the Rhodes statue removal highlighted how statues of white imperialists and black liberationalists exclude women change makers from being celebrated in our public spaces. When only male history receives public commemoration, we send dangerous messages to young women about their place in society. We need celebrating women like Lillian Ngoyi, Dorothy Nyembe, and as active architects of freedom, whose stories and contributions to the underrepresented. The geographic equity requires that province, district, and liberation struggles. The Eastern Cape's role in producing liberation leaders, KwaZulu-Natal's tradition, and Limpopo's struggle must receive proper recognition through strategically located monuments and heritage sites. This debate about apartheid statues reflects the broader unresolved national question that continues to define our post-apartheid South Africa. We cannot achieve genuine non-racialism while symbols of racial supremacy dominate our public spaces. We cannot build social cohesion while monuments glorify those who designed our oppression. The transformation of our heritage landscape is not about erasing history. It is about ensuring that our public spaces reflect the democratic values enshrined in our Constitution. When we remove statues of a statue of Lindiwe Mabuza, when we replace the statue of Kruger with the statue of Charlotte Maxeke, when we are not destroying the past, we are reclaiming our future. South Africans are demanding nothing less than the complete transformation of our symbolic landscape. Every statue that falls, every monument that rises, every heritage site that receives proper recognition represents progress towards a non-racial, non-sexist democracy for which our comrades died for. Let us therefore approach this transformation with the same revolutionary determination that brought us freedom. The struggle for heritage transformation, like the broader national question, continues until every South African can walk through our public spaces and see themselves reflected with dignity, respect, and pride. I thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Mpiti. The Honorable Mpiti.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The historical mission handed over to us by our democracy's founders is to pursue a truly transformed, inclusive society based on reconciliation. Lasting reconciliation requires the commitment of society to unite in its diversity and a capable state that promotes substantive equality by expanding opportunities for all citizens. Redress and transformation are not a single populist event, and it cannot be driven by anger, hate, or like what the EFF wants us to do right now, which is erasure. As a society, we need to decide whether the destruction of monuments truly reflects the immediate needs of the South African population, and further, whether this conversation prompts an inclusive vision for the future of our society. This inclusive vision can only be achieved through constructive dialogue that recognizes the pain of our past and creatively reimagines our public spaces. Of course, it is easier to destroy than to build or to create. It is easier for us to focus on statues and monuments than to rise to the intellectual challenge of addressing the shocking lack of jobs, poverty, and basic service delivery that is failed to be delivered in our municipalities each and every day. Blaming our lack of progress on statues that have stood for more than a century undermines the true cause of transformation in our society. Honorable Chair, what is truly disappointing about this topic is that it has completely given up on the pressing issues that are affecting South Africans in our country. It is a drift away from the pressing issues like policing, education, and health. These services remain fundamentally unequal while the small elite continue to thrive while ordinary South Africans continue to suffer. South Africans want us to find solutions to the pressing challenges of today. We are here to solve the problems of our time. If we are to use the EFF's logic, we would simply forget the daily cries of the people of this country who are asking for us to focus.
Mpiti, please switch your video because your is not good enough, and then you can continue.
Chairperson, if I may come in on the point there.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Chairperson, I think it might
Very much,
be...
Chair. Am I audible?
Chairperson, I think it might be your connection that is not good. We can see and hear the Honourable Mpiti very clearly.
Okay, I've asked the member to switch. Honorable Oukamp, I'm chairing the session. I've asked the member, and I'm communicating with the table staff to switch off his video so that I can also follow what he has to say. Thank you. Please proceed, Honorable Mpiti.
Thank you very much, House Chair. If we are to use the EFF's logic, we would simply forget the daily cries of the people of this country who are asking us to focus on economic growth in order for their businesses to grow, who are asking us to focus on basic water and basic services so that they have water in their tap, electricity in their homes, street lights outside, potholes being filled, a working public transport system, safer communities, and hospitals that deliver quality healthcare. If we were to follow the EFF's logic, dealing with history would be like editing a film. We would simply cut out the parts that we don't like erasing parts of a movie that we don't like because it represents a past that we don't agree with. It would simply just be something that is untenable. Where would it start and where would it begin? Is erasing history really how we confront the past? We don't think so. We would do well in this House to remember the words of Chief Justice Pius Langa in his 2006 speech on transformative constitutionalism, where he says, "There is no right way to deal with the immense violation that was apartheid. But as a society, we must keep alive the hope that we can move beyond our past. That requires both the remembering and the forgetting. We must remember what it is that brought us here together. But at the same time, we must forget the hate and anger that fueled some of our activities if we are to avoid returning to the same cycle of violence and oppression. The public purse, Honorable Chairperson, must and should focus on the precious issues that are facing South Africans. The South African people do not have time to wait any longer for government to do its work. The question that South Africans want us to ask, want us to confront, is not about monuments. It is not about statues. It's about how are we going to turn this country around. It is how are we going to respond to the youth unemployment crisis. The Democratic Alliance remains committed to the constitutional vision of a transformed society and the project of reconciliation and national building. We believe this is a cause worth fighting for in the face of rising populism and nationalism that threaten to undermine the freedoms that have been fought for such a long time. This debate, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, and this motion in particular is as useful as a fork in soup. It takes us nowhere in answering the generational question of our time, and quite frankly, it fails to read the room. Therefore, we reject this ad hoc committee with what it deserves. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Gigaba.
Thank you, Chair. Honourable members, in his 1978 pamphlet, The Historical Injustice, President Mbeki posits that all societies are indelibly shaped by their history, bearing the birthmarks of their past. This logic dictates that colonial system profoundly imprinted itself on the post-independent state. Our task, therefore, is not only to dismantle the legacy of tyranny, but to forge a new synthesis characterized by genuine equality, justice, and inclusion. While President Mbeki addressed apartheid colonialism specifically, this principle applies equally to micro aspects of society like culture, heritage, and public symbols. This is critically important because, as Frantz Fanon argues, colonialism actively destroys and distorts the past of the oppressed to justify its domination, imposing its own symbols and values to suggest that it brought enlightenment to a savage people. In South Africa, apartheid-era symbols represent both the white ruling bloc's internal struggles for domination, as well as the ongoing humiliation of the black majority. The pre-1994 landscape was a deliberate project to glorify white supremacy and erase black history. The continued presence of these symbols perpetuates a narrative of inferiority and keeps the painful legacy of domination alive. This debate summons us to restore our people's dignity by reclaiming our public consciousness and ability to define ourselves independently of our colonial past. This is an act of liberation that involves both economic transformation as well as the transformation of cultural superstructures like public symbols. Our approach must be guided by the two truths from President Mbeki: that South Africa bears the imprint of its history, and that our identity is woven from the experiences of everyone who calls this land home. While we cannot erase history, we must collectively decide to what extent we allow these birthmarks to continue defining our public memory today and going forward. This decision should be driven by a commitment to the aspirations of the historically humiliated majority, while also recognizing that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, and that we seek to build a new society antithetical to apartheid. The ANC's official view is that South Africa's heritage landscape must be transformed to reflect a unified, non-racial, non-sexist democratic nation. The transformation of our national heritage is therefore fundamental to the ongoing effort to build a new nation, underpinned by social justice and inclusion. That process inexorably compels us to answer critical questions about the kind of new society we wish to create, and how to forge a shared identity from our diverse population and a painful past. The ANC accordingly advocates for a transformative approach centered on restorative, not retributive justice, premised on correcting historical imbalances, promoting dialogue, and advancing social justice without erasing the past. Our goal...
Honourable Gigaba. Honourable Gigaba, my apologies. Honourable Deputy Minister Nzuza, switch off your microphone. If the Honourable Deputy Minister cannot mute himself, remove him from the platform, please. Thank you. Please proceed, Honourable Gigaba.
Thank you, Chair. Our goal is to build a society of mutual respect and universal human rights that restores the dignity of all people. Key elements of this approach include: 1, symbolic justice. Removing statues of colonial and apartheid figures such as Cecil John Rhodes and Paul Kruger is a necessary step to dismantle the visual architecture of oppression. Secondly, inclusive heritage. Replacing old symbols with those that celebrate the liberation struggle, pre-colonial history, and the contributions of all South Africans. And thirdly, policy framework. Supporting government policies that provide the legal framework for managing this heritage transformation. The ANC believes that relocating certain statues to museums where they can be properly contextualized as part of a painful history rather than celebrated is itself a significant act of reconciliation. It acknowledges the pain of those humiliated by these figures these statues honor. We take pride in the significant progress made over the past 30 years. Initiatives such as renaming streets, building new monuments like the Freedom Park, and establishing museums like the Nelson Mandela Museum, which have honored previously marginalized figures and reflected our democratic values. However, we acknowledge that progress has been slower than desired due to resource constraints and poor coordination. True national healing requires honest dialogue and reconciliation across all racial and ethnic groups. Our collective responsibility is to ensure that our heritage landscape unites us, allowing every South African to see themselves reflected in it and to take pride in our shared identity. This requires that those for whom the colonial and apartheid systems were established also possess the courage to confront the past and genuinely admit to the pain caused by that legacy on the majority, and have the courage of conviction to support efforts to change that past as a measure of reconciliation and justice. Therefore, while the ANC unequivocally supports transforming the heritage landscape as essential, it believes this must be first pursued through the processes already underway in the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Only if we are not satisfied with how comprehensive that process is, can we then propose new mechanisms. A clear roadmap exists. The National Audit has identified non-compliant statues, and the new draft National Policy Framework provides a plan for their repositioning. Therefore, Parliament must now exercise its oversight role to close the implementation gap. This must involve addressing the urgent issue of apartheid statues and symbols at key public spaces such as Parliament. The framing of all opposition to transformation as constitutional is grossly misleading. If anything, it perpetuates the violence of oppression and dehumanization of the majority, entrenches the unequal power relations between the former oppressors and the hitherto oppressed, and at worst, it appropriates our constitution and turns it into a weapon of oppression by using it to entrench the past inequalities. Equally misleading and actually insulting is the false dichotomy created between transforming our heritage and fighting unemployment and poverty, as if those making this point opportunistically, dare we say, are doing so out of commitment to genuine transformation of South African society through structural transformation and alteration of property relations. Those of us seeking genuine change, those of us who fought against the evil policies and programs of racial tyranny and exclusion of Louis Botha and Paul Kruger, those of us who fought for this new constitution, which the beneficiaries of apartheid colonialism seek to appropriate for their exclusive benefit, are dead committed to not only defending our constitution, but changing South Africa's economic base as well as its superstructural elements. Reconciliation does not mean glossing over the past, but confronting it courageously and decisively. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now call upon the Honourable Nolachungu to close this debate. Honourable Nolachungu.
Thank you, House Chair. Please allow me to first express my lack of surprise by certain political parties and their concerns to the debate we have raised today. It has always been clear that there are elements in this country that perceive racism and hatred of African people as part of their heritage. It has always been clear to us as the EFF that certain political parties and their representatives perceive the proceeds of the land theft and the pain we suffer as Africans as part of something worth celebrating because their identity is built of conquest. The EFF debate is not about disagreeing with the past. It is to characterize the past correctly and to not celebrate and glorify perpetrators of land theft and genocide. There is no unity in a state of Jan van Riebeeck at the center of society. There is no pride in glorifying voortrekkers who disrupted African life and today have their descendants claiming rights to the land of the people. It is no surprise that Africans are deployed to undermine the value of this debate from the ranks of the Democratic Alliance, because that is the value they elder amongst their African members, mere deployees to nullify the genuine pain of those they seek to continue to oppress. Symbolism means something, and that is why organizations who are dominated by the white minority in the country fight to allow them to exist amongst us. It is not a question of money or service delivery, because if it was, then the same political parties would govern the misery in Mitchell's Plain, Kylie Cha, Delft, and not have an objection. They fight because they now our fight is against being mocked by conquest. Our unemployment and landless begins with a conquest. The very conquest that is rubber-stamped by statues and celebration of those who invaded our land. We must not be apologetic about celebrating our resistance, and this includes removing from public celebrations the murderers who created the inequality which exists today. This is Africa, the Africa of King Hintsa, Africa of King Sekhukhune, Queen Zinga, King Cetshwayo, Steve Biko, and Robert Sobukwe. We will not retreat. Murderers do not belong in public spaces. They must go, and they will go. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. And that concludes the debate under the name of the Honourable Malema. We will now proceed to the subject for discussion: strengthening digital infrastructure, expanding broadband and cloud access, and investing in AI literacy and future-fit skills. The Honourable Nkosi.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. Honourable members, fellow South Africans, today as we gather to deliberate on a matter of profound importance for our nation's future, that is to strengthen digital infrastructure and future-ready skills, we confront the relentless march of the fourth industrial revolution. It is imperative that South Africa not only keeps pace, but leverages this technological wave to propel our country towards sustainable development, economic growth, and social equity. We are living in an era characterized by rapid technological transformation, driven by digital innovation that is reshaping every facet of human life, economically, socially, and politically. Honorable House Chair, our participation in the global technological revolution must be deliberate and strategic. South Africa's position as a democracy founded on principles of social justice and equality aligns closely with the objectives of the digital era, which offers avenues to address historical inequalities through inclusive growth. The ANC, with its unwavering commitment to the creation of a society based on equal right, based on equal, sorry, Chair. Driven by digital innovation that is reshaping every facet of human life, economically, socially, and politically. Honorable House Chair, Our participation in the global technology revolution must be deliberate and strategic. South Africa's position as a democracy founded on principles of social justice and equality aligns closely with the objectives of the digital era, which offers avenues to address historical inequalities through inclusive growth. The ANC, with its unwavering commitment to the creation of society based on equal opportunity, recognizes that advancing digital transformation is critical to realizing our vision of a just and equitable nation. The recent research by Naspers and Mistra highlights the significant untapped potential of South Africa's digital platform economy, which encompasses online platforms that facilitate economic transactions such as takealot.com, Mr. D, Super Ballist, AutoTrader, Property24, and PayU have made substantial contribution to the economy and has generated over 13 billion in economic value, including 1.5 billion in household income based on 2022 data. This sector presents a transformative opportunity for the country, with projections indicating it could inject 91.4 billion into the economy by 2035 and create as many as 340,000 jobs, representing substantial growth. This growth will see the sector contribution expand from 0.2% to GDP to an estimated expansion of 1.38% by 2035. This signifies its importance as a driver of economic development and innovation. Honorable members, South Africa's digital platform businesses have the capacity to revolutionize service delivery, create jobs, and stimulate entrepreneurship across various sectors. By fostering an enabling environment for these platforms to thrive through improved internet access, regulatory support, and investment in digital skills, the country can harness this sector's growth to enhance economic inclusivity and competitiveness. Embracing the digital platform economy is therefore a strategic pathway to unlock new sources of growth and ensure that more citizens benefit from South Africa's digital transformation. By supporting the digital economy, we can democratize economic participation, empower entrepreneurs, and stimulate local industries, translating into tangible benefits for the ordinary South African. In alignment with our policy stance, inclusive growth, we must ensure that small businesses, particularly those run by women, youth, and people with disabilities, are provided with affordable access to digital tools and platforms that enable them to thrive both locally and international markets. Currently, the Takealot Group has empowered over 12,000 small businesses through its marketplace platform. The digital architecture alignment with government initiatives and funding demonstrates a tangible move towards digital equitable inclusion, ensuring broader access to digital services. Broadband Infraco, the state-owned company, plays a crucial role by expanding infrastructure reach, especially in underdeserved areas. The integration fosters digital inclusion, promotes economic growth, and bridges the digital divide across communities. The transformation hinges on expanding high-speed broadband connectivity across the country, reaching both urban centers and rural areas. Our vision is to ensure that no South African is left behind in a digital age. A digitally connected nation paves the way for more efficient service delivery, better educational opportunities, and increased economic participation. To achieve this, we must invest upgrading our national broadband infrastructure, fostering public-private partnership to build sustainable, scalable digital networks. Connectivity is no longer a luxury, but a necessity, an infrastructural backbone that underpins all future development efforts. Furthermore, the development of the robust cloud computing platforms is essential to support research and innovation. By upgrading our national cloud infrastructure, we can facilitate data sharing, accelerate scientific breakthroughs, and enable government and industry to harness data-driven insights for smaller decision-makings. Similar investing in the next generation data centers will also boost our digital resilience. ensuring that critical services remain operational amidst increasing cyber threats and global disruptions. Honorable House Chair, the ICASA ICT report of 2024 highlights significant progress in data penetration, reflecting ongoing prioritization of ICT development. Since the fourth industrial revolution has been embraced with some time, these advancements suggest tangible impacts and increased digital inclusion. It is evident that concerted efforts have yielded noticeable progress worth acknowledging. In tandem with the infrastructural enhancements, we must prioritize developing nationwide artificial intelligence literacy programs targeting students, professionals, and entrepreneurs. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries such as healthcare, agriculture, manufacturing, and finance, equipping our youth and workplace with the skills required to operate, develop, and innovate. And artificial intelligence will position South Africa as a competitive player in the global digital economy. In line with the ANC policy position on education and skills development, our government must support vocational training initiatives that align with emerging technological trends. Honorable House Chair, skills development in the digital realm must extend beyond traditional education systems. It should involve fostering a culture of continuous learning in fields as robotics, data science, blockchain, cybersecurity, and digital marketing. Training programs should be accessible, flexible, and tailored to meet industry needs, ensuring that our workplace remains adaptable in the rapidly changing technological landscape. We also recognize that the youth-driven innovations holds immense potential, hence supporting the youth-led startups and incubators focus on science and technology sectors and should be a national priority. Public-private partnerships will play a vital role in building the necessary digital infrastructure and skills ecosystem by fostering collaboration between government agencies, academia, industry, and civil society, such as research partnership with the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research in Gauteng, the University of the Western Cape, collaboration with the government departments in the Western Cape, and the University of KwaZulu-Natal Research Initiative in KwaZulu-Natal. We can develop innovative solutions to persistent challenges. These partnerships can facilitate the deployment of emerging technologies, increase investment in research and development, and promote knowledge sharing. Moreover, policy frameworks must ensure equitable access to digital tools and resources. The digital divide exacerbates inequalities, particularly affecting the rural communities, women, persons with disabilities, and historically disadvantaged group in general. It is our responsibility to implement policies that guarantee universal access, affordability, and digital literacy. This includes subsidizing internet access, promoting affordable devices, and integrating digital skills training into education and social programs. We must not allow development of the communications and digital sector to further entrench poverty, inequality, unemployment, and a history of economic exclusion. We are called to harness technology not merely for economic growth, but as an instrument of social transformation in ensuring that digital progress benefits every citizen, regardless of race, gender, geographical location. By investing in infrastructure, education, and innovation, we can position South Africa as a leader in the fourth industrial revolution and secure a prosperous, equitable future for our beloved nation. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Nchabaleng.
Honorable Speaker, thank you so much. The MK takes the opportunity to notify the nation that, Honorable Speaker, the nation that are able to turn their economic misfortunes are those that optimize necessary interventions to shift the economic standing of their countries. Countries around the world, governments are moving at speeds to invest in digital infrastructure, broadband, cloud technology, and artificial intelligence. They are equipping their citizens with future-fit skills to survive and thrive in the new economy. This is not only strengthening their capacity as nations, but also fuels economic reforms and research and development. South Africa, Speaker, has not moved with the agency the moment requires. Millions of South Africans, especially the youth, women, and those in rural areas, remains excluded from opportunities of the digital age. Therefore, as MK, we must focus on the strengthening of digital infrastructure, expanding broadband and cloud access, and investing in AI literacy and future-fit skills. And we must do so under the broader imperatives of tackling unemployment, driving economic growth, and transforming education and boosting research and development. On strengthening digital infrastructure, Speaker, infrastructure is the backbone of a modern economy, and without infrastructure such as fiber, mobile towers, and data centers, we cannot grow. Yet millions remain disconnected. In rural areas, connectivity is patchy or non-existent. Schools cannot provide e-learning, small businesses cannot trade online, and government clinics cannot modernize services. The rollout of South Africa's SA Connect Phase 2, meant to connect schools, clinics, communities, has been repeatedly delayed. Budgets are left unspent. Every delay is another learner unable to study online, another entrepreneur denied access to markets, and another community locked out of the opportunity, Speaker. Failures go further. The Post Bank, meant to be a lifeline, has been crippled by system crash and governance crisis. Grant recipients, mainly elderly women and people with disability, queue for hours only to leave empty-handed. Technology that should have empowered our people is underutilized. And SITA, the State Information Technology Agency, continue to face criticism for inefficiency and outdated system, slowing down government's ability to lead in digital services. It is our strong view as MKP that strengthening digital infrastructure is not optional. It is the foundation for reducing unemployment, fighting inequality, and lifting people out of poverty. Without it, our economy cannot grow, our education system cannot modernize, and our researchers cannot compete globally. Expanding broadband and strengthening cloud systems. Broadband expansion is not just about technology, it is about economic growth and jobs. A 10% increase in broadband access can add up to 2% in GDP growth. Other African nations are moving forward. Kenya has revolutionized financial services with modern mobile money. Rwanda has rolled out community Wi-Fi zones. And Nigeria's tech startups are attracting global investment. But South Africa is far behind. Data remains too expensive, rural schools and clinics are offline, and community networks are scarce. Government continues to fail to regulate data pricing to improve access for the poor, choosing instead to leave millions excluded. Cloud technology is equally important. It powers government e-services, enables universities to do advanced research, and allows small businesses to innovate and scale. Without affordable, secure, sovereign cloud system, South Africa cannot build an inclusive economy. This is where cyber employment becomes critical. With affordable broadband and strong cloud system, we can create new forms of work such as remote jobs, online services, digital entrepreneurs, cyber employment, facilitate businesses, open new opportunities, enhance communication, and accelerate product development. It is a lifeline for unemployed youth who are locked out of the traditional labor market. And here, BRICS partnerships are invaluable. India has built a digital identity system that serves over 1 billion people. Brazil is using a cloud and AI to boost agriculture. Russia has integrated an AI literacy nationally. China has developed smart cities powered by a domestic cloud network. Yet South Africa has failed to leverage these partnerships efficiently. This failure has cost us growth, jobs, and innovation. On investing in AI literacy and future fit skills, Speaker, infrastructure alone is not enough. We must prepare our people to use it. Artificial intelligence is already reshaping industries. It helps doctors detect diseases earlier. It helps farmers predict weather and improve yields. And it helps entrepreneurs market their products globally. But without skills, South Africa will remain consumers of AI, not creators of it. AI literacy must be declared a national priority. Just as literacy and numeracy became the foundation of education, today we must do the same for coding, digital literacy, and artificial intelligence. AI literacy also reduces information asymmetry. When ordinary South Africans understand AI tools, they make better decisions, access accurate information, and avoid exploitation. And without this knowledge, the poor remain trapped while the wealthy thrive. This must start in schools, where coding and robotics should be part of their core curricula from an early age. It must extend to communities through digital hubs, coding academies, and innovation labs in townships and rural areas. And it must include our workforce with reskilling and lifelong learning to prepare people for industries that are still emerging. As South Africa, we can cut a leaf from our BRICS partners. India has nationwide AI skills initiatives. Brazil has a government university training partnerships. Russia has launched an AI literacy campaigns reaching millions. These examples show what is possible when there is a political will. On everyday impact, imagine a girl in Limpopo who, with broadband, learns coding online and becomes a software engineer. Imagine a farmer in the Free State who uses cloud-based weather apps to increase harvest and income. Imagine an entrepreneur in Khayelitsha who uses AI tools to make market products globally. Imagine a researcher in Durban collaborating with colleagues worldwide through high-speed cloud access. These are not just theoretical frameworks, but they are happening elsewhere in Africa and across BRICS nations. But here in South Africa, we have a president that cares not about the poor, but rather lyrical works about the DA he has campaigned for instead of service delivery. In our closing as MKP, we understand that the digital future is here. It is one of the tools that we can utilize to fight against unemployment, inequality, and poverty. It is therefore a must that we strengthen digital infrastructure and expand broadband, regulate data pricing, and invest in cloud sovereignty. To grow our economy, we must embrace cyber employment and learn from our BRICS partners. To prepare our children, we must embed AI literacy in education. To innovate, we must increase investment in research and development. As MKP, we demand these initiatives, but we know that we have a government that would rather invest millions in a national dialogue than improve the lives of our people. This government has failed to invest in digital literacy, has failed to regulate data pricing, and has failed to expand broadband to the poor, and has failed to build the partnership that could change life. And as a result, MKP demands that this government prioritizes digital skills, digital technology, AI, and we need to change the lives of our people and create the jobs. Just like we're doing currently, attending Parliament online. The same should happen for our future young South Africans to access this digital technology space and enjoy the ability to create income, wealth, as well as make sure that they improve their lives and can participate in South Africa's economy through digital access. MKP submits. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I will now invite the Honourable Labuschagne to preside over the remainder of this mini-plenary session. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Frolick. Good morning, everyone. The next speaker is from the ANC, Honourable Subrati.
Thank you, House Chair, and good morning to yourself and to speakers and to honourable members. Assalamu alaikum. House Chair, allow me to begin by reflecting on the recent GovTech 2025 conference hosted by the DCDT and CETA from September 8th to September 10th, 2025. This conference stands as a pivotal moment in our nation's digital transformation journey. Under the theme, One Data, One Citizen, One Citizen Service Journey, the conference championed a shift from fragmented silos to integrated citizen-centric systems. The discussions from this conference powerfully highlighted how artificial intelligence and automation can transform efficiency and inclusiveness. House Chair, as a nation, we need to recognize that connectivity is a crucial force in modern society. Communication and digital technology drive economic development and advances national growth as outlined in the NDP. The digital divide highlights a disparity in technological access, creating a separation that distinguishes those who can participate in the global economy from those who remain marginalized. Now, in this moment, House Chair, we must recognize the significant role that the SA Connect project, an initiative by the ANC government designed as a fundamental strategy to establish a capable, ethical, and developmental state prepared for the future. Honorable members, this initiative serves as the foundation of our collective mission to ensure that every South African, regardless of their location or financial situation, possesses the necessary resources and skills to succeed in the digital era. Honorable House Chair, the digital technology landscape serves as a foundational infrastructure of the modern digital economy, which is a very integral realization. This landscape provides the vital connectivity and platforms for integration and global competitiveness, especially in an environment where we do not have a comparative advantage. We must level the playing field as it does possess this potential. We must not perpetuate our continued underdevelopment. However, its transformative potential remains fundamentally constrained without a workforce equipped with future-fit skills. By strategically aligning the rollout of advanced technologies with comprehensive skills development, we ensure that the digital economy evolves in an inclusive and in a sustainable manner. The launch of the SA Connect emerged as a strategic long-term initiative by the ANC-led ministry aimed at addressing the need to close the digital access gap. This project signified a deliberate and impactful action by the government to recognize broadband internet as a fundamental public utility. The project's vision extends beyond the installation of cables and towers. Its fundamental aim is to create an interconnected digital framework that links our government institutions, thereby significantly enhancing service delivery and fostering active citizen participation. The achievement of this vision relies on a strong infrastructure deployment. In this context, state institutions such as Broadband Infraco are essential in delivering the national infrastructure that facilitates data transmission throughout the country. Honorable members, a collaborative approach involving various stakeholders is crucial to addressing the infrastructure challenges. Mobile network operators play a vital role in enhancing our digital framework. On June 13, 2025, we invited the MNOs to Parliament and probed them on their role in digital infrastructure rollout and access programs. Their vast networks and financial resources play a crucial role in accelerating implementation, particularly in rural and peri-urban areas. Now, the government's responsibility lies in crafting a supportive policy and regulatory framework that motivates private entities to deepen their investments whilst ensuring that their business aims align with the overarching national vision of universal service and access. Honorable members, the impactful use of institutions such as the Universal Service Access Agency of South Africa, USASA, and the Universal Service Access Fund, USAF, is essential. These entities should be purposefully utilized to support infrastructure in challenging regions and significantly to enhance digital literacy and skills initiatives. As the ANC, we remain firm in championing the principle that USAF must be utilized not only for its physical assets, but for the intellectual capabilities that drive innovation and change. Empowering our citizens is the most impactful investment we can pursue. This is where the National Electronic Media Institute of South Africa, NEMISA, assumes a crucial role in the rollout. Again, as the ANC, we continue to see NEMISA as a leader in charge to equip our workforce with the necessary skills to navigate the impending AI revolution. Honorable members, NEMISA is tasked to be one of the driving forces behind a new wave of South Africans, equipped with skills in digital content creation, data analytics, cloud computing, and the fundamental of machine learning, ready to embrace the challenges and possibilities of the fourth industrial revolution. This endeavor for the 4IR change demands a unified approach. It is essential for government, the private sector, and civil society to unite behind government's efforts to secure adequate investment in AI literacy and future-fit skills. At the core of these government initiatives lies the imperative to establish a competent, principled, and progressive governance framework. This entails ensuring that our state-owned enterprises operate efficiently and are aligned with their intended objectives. The envisioned state digital infrastructure company must evolve into a dynamic and proficient organization dedicated to implementing our national broadband strategy. We envision it as functioning with a commitment to both commercial rigor and technical superiority to oversee the state's portion of the network infrastructure effectively. In our ongoing quest to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state, we must also safeguard our digital economy. The significance of data sovereignty in achieving effective governance is central to the concept of democracy in this new digital age. Our national data and that of our citizens must be stored and managed in accordance with the South African law and jurisdiction, protecting it from foreign surveillance and ensuring that our digital economy benefits our people first. Our principles as the ANC are further reflected in the Audio and Audiovisual Content Services Bill. The bill is a vital part of securing our digital infrastructure, promoting local content, creating jobs, and leveraging the digital economy, and thereby protecting our digital identity as uniquely South African. Now, our primary objective is to implement infrastructure for universal connectivity. Without this essential groundwork, honorable members, every other strategy remains abstract. This rollout is pivotal for our economic resurgence under the ANC. Access to digital resources is a pathway to financial empowerment. This establishes the foundation of executing the digital economy master plan, which unifies these elements into a cohesive national strategy for growth and job creation. Honorable House Chair, our trajectory ahead is guided by the insights of the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The Commission called upon us to prioritize human capital first and foremost, also to recognize the urgency of creating a digital infrastructure society. The Commission also called for the need to cultivate a regulatory landscape that encourages innovation. Access and growth of the digital market must mean that a larger market means the ability to lower data costs to ensure access. The SA Connect embodies the essence of our guidance. It is our collective mission to ensure technological advancement benefits every South African. Through building infrastructure and encouraging collaboration, we are creating a more inclusive and resilient South Africa, a South Africa that is ready to take the lead in the digital era. I must commend Postbank on ensuring that it's gone on for 18 months without any penalty for SASSA delivering on its mandate to bring services to our people. I must also indicate that when I visited the GovTech, I managed to have my own digital ID created by CETA, and we're hoping that that will be rolled out soon. Let us advance, honorable members, united with determination and trust. Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is from the DA, Honorable Botlani.
Thank you, House Chairperson, honorable members, Bagolo Dumelang. Honorable members, I am certain we have all heard these words before. South Africa needs to sharpen its innovative edge and continue contributing to global scientific and technological advancement. This requires greater investment in research and development, better use of existing resources, and more nimble institutions that facilitate innovation, including enhancing cooperation between public science and technology institutions and the private sector. These honorable members are words straight out of the National Development Plan 2030, a document which was meant to be a blueprint of all our developmental agendas. As the topic today is both topical and timely, we note that this week, the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation revealed in Parliament that only 15% of the NDP targets are on track to be met by 2030. The question we should ask is, has South Africa achieved anything in developing digital infrastructure? The answer is a yes, with a disclaimer. Simply because the investment from the fiscus does not match the benefits to the citizens. The fact is, over the past 30 years, our country has not done enough to develop its digital infrastructure, at least not at the pace that is matching our global development counterparts. In addition, a lack of political poor planning and systematic corruption have robbed many citizens of the ability to enjoy the rewards of our political freedoms. We have had ministers repeating political platitudes such as 4IR without meaningful implementation of the same. For the Patriotic Alliance, strengthening digital infrastructure is not and should never be a focus of a single government department, especially considering the overreaching nature of the NDP goals, which are growing the economy, eliminating poverty, and reducing inequality. The Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, through successive administrations, has also contributed to holding South Africa back. To this end, the 7th administration has inherited a lagging SA Connect project, which received the go-ahead in 2013 with very little to show today. Over the years, a lack of project management and capacity has delayed the implementation of this program. Added to this is a poor relationship between the government and the private sector, preventing effective partnerships. It is for this reason that we welcome the announcement by Communications and Digital Technologies Minister Solly Malatsi that Cabinet has endorsed South Africa's digital transformation roadmap, which promotes a whole of government plan aligned with phase 2 of Operation Vulindlela. This move, coupled with fit-for-purpose leadership, will ensure that expanding broadband and cloud access are not abstract contracts, but are tangible for citizens, especially our young people. The DA's ICT policy warns that South Africa needs to rapidly embrace advanced manufacturing approaches to improve competitiveness and arrest further job losses and deindustrialization, which is likely to emerge as a result of the 4th Industrial Revolution. It is therefore crucial that collaboration with the private sector, universities, and non-for-profit organizations is strengthened by our government. Transformation and redress remain high on the agenda of the DA. Minister Malatsi has made the bold and decisive decision to amend the regulations governing CETA to allow departments to procure outside the agency. This is a step towards a more competitive ecosystem that improves digital service delivery for citizens while safeguarding our governance standards. The DA welcomes Minister Malazi's launch of cyber labs in underserved communities, offering robotics, coding, and device repair training. Tools fit for a digital economy. It is initiatives such as these that will drive inclusive digital access to unlock opportunities. Further, it is important that the DCDT streamlines its reporting entities to both better manage state resources and to understand where the gaps are. One such example is the acquisition of BBI Bicentennial, which was first announced in 2021, and so far the plans remain dormant. As the DA seeks to turbocharge our economy to create jobs, we reiterate our calls for this measure and others to continue without a delay. We acknowledge that rationalization of these entities requires amendment to Acts of Parliament. It is for this reason that we call on the Minister to provide...
Your time has expired. You can finish your sentence.
Thank you, House Chairperson.
You can finish.
Chair, the DA will continue to work on innovative ways to enhance investment, and we will not be deterred by cadres that want to delay South Africa by protecting policies such as BEE. I do thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The next speaker is from the EFF, Honorable Tembek Bayo.
Thank you, Chairperson. This debate is proper, but it must be made simple and connected to the real concerns of our people. We cannot speak about artificial intelligence and the fourth industrial revolution when the cost of the data in South Africa remains among the highest in the world. We know who is breaking the law by charging these exorbitant costs, but the regulator shows no interest in intervening to protect consumers. The consequence is that millions of South Africans are left behind in the digital age, unable to participate fully in opportunities that technology should provide. Artificial intelligence should not be treated as a distant concept that excites only the privileged. It must be a tool that responds to the socio-economic crisis our people face every day. South Africa lives without collapsing water infrastructure, potholes on every road, growing food insecurity, and the harsh reality of joblessness. If AI is to matter in this country, it must be applied to make water provision more efficient, to help municipalities detect and fix infrastructure problems faster, to reduce water in the food system, and to create new forms of work and entrepreneurship for the unemployed. Despite some progress in expanding broadband infrastructure, affordable internet still remains a major barrier, particularly for low-income households. This affordability gap deepens the digital divide and undermines inclusive socio-economic development. Many households in rural areas and informal settlements still do not have reliable internet access. While mobile devices are the main modes of access, the cost of data remains prohibitive. If South Africa is serious about digital transformation, it must ensure affordable broadband for all, invest in last-mile infrastructure, subsidize essential devices like smartphones and laptops, and make e-learning platforms accessible to every student. The regulator must act decisively to bring data prices down in line with global trends so that digital rights become a reality for the majority. The global growth of artificial intelligence also demands higher levels of digital literacy. South Africa's National Digital Skills Strategy outlines how to equip citizens with basic, intermediate, and advanced digital skills, but the gap between the vision and delivery is still wide. If we do not prioritize investment in digital literacy, the divide between the privileged and the majority will grow even wider. We must train teachers in emerging technologies, invest in digital education, and ensure that no student or job seeker is left behind. Our young people are eager to learn, to innovate, and to create. With the right support, they can build a competitive and inclusive digital economy. Preparing for the future also requires skills in data science, cybersecurity, software development, robotics, and digital entrepreneurship. These are the skills that will define job creation and competitiveness in the global economy. Yet our education system is held back by weak infrastructure, underqualified staff, and a lack of continuous reskilling. We need to direct investment to overcome these challenges while also supporting small tech startups, providing incubation spaces, and linking training to job opportunities. Without this, AI and advanced technologies will benefit only a small elite while the majority remains excluded. Chairperson, South Africa can position itself as a leader in the digital economy, but only if digital transformation speaks directly to the struggles of our people. We must bring down the cost of data, expand affordable broadband and cloud access, invest in digital and artificial intelligence literacy for all, equip our youth with future-fit skills, and use AI to resolve the real crisis of water, food, infrastructure, and jobs. This is the only way to ensure that the digital revolution does not leave our people behind, but carries them forward into a just and inclusive future. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is from the IFP, Honorable Langa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. May I request to keep my camera off for better connectivity purposes?
Fine.
Honorable House Chair, only a few months ago, Vodacom and the Ngonyama Trust Board partnered to build cellular towers in the areas that fall under traditional leaders. This is a welcome initiative that seeks to improve mobile connectivity in rural areas. It is important to raise this point because any conversation about communication in South Africa must confront the stark reality of the digital divide. Millions of South Africans remain excluded from reliable internet access, affordable data, and modern communication tools, while others enjoy the benefits of a connected world. This gap entrenches inequality, silences voices, and limits opportunities for education, business, and civic participation. However, the IFP agrees that it is essential to strengthen South Africa's digital infrastructure, expand broadband and cloud access, and invest meaningfully in AI literacy and future-fit skills. The reality is that the fourth industrial revolution is not a distant prospect. It is already here, reshaping economies and societies across the globe. It will not pause to wait for South Africa to be ready. And every day it continues to advance at an unprecedented pace. If we do not act with agency and foresight, we risk being left behind, widening the digital divide, and missing opportunities for innovation, competitiveness, and inclusive growth. To meet the demands of the fourth industrial revolution, the IFP proposes that South Africa must act decisively with 4 immediate interventions. First, government must fast-track the rollout of affordable, high-speed broadband, especially in rural and township areas, by leveraging targeted investment and public-private partnerships. Secondly, a national AI and digital skills program should train students in AI, coding, cloud computing, and data analytics across schools, TVET colleges, and universities to equip youth with future-ready skills. Third, equally important is incentivizing private sector investment through tax breaks and grants to boost digital infrastructure, AI research, and innovation hubs for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Finally, policies to strengthen digital inclusion must be urgently implemented, including subsidized internet access for low-income households, community-based digital learning centers, and schemes to ensure access to affordable devices. These immediate measures will help close the digital divide, enhance competitiveness, and position South Africa to thrive in a rapidly evolving global economy. Artificial intelligence presents both opportunities and profound risks that South Africa cannot afford to ignore, particularly in relation to jobs, information, and elections. AI threatens to automate many jobs, and without reskilling, South Africa's high unemployment could worsen, deepening poverty and inequality. On information, AI-powered tools such as deepfakes and algorithm disinformation can distort public discourse, erode trust in institutions, and exploit South Africa's fragile media environment. On elections, AI-driven manipulation campaigns have the potential to sway voter sentiment, suppress participation, and undermine faith in the democratic process, which is especially dangerous for a young democracy facing deep political contestation. Without these safeguards, AI could become a destabilizing force that undermines both democracy and economic stability rather than strengthening them. South Africa urgently needs legislation to regulate AI and a well-resourced, independent ombudsman accountable to Parliament to ensure ethical, transparent, and impartial oversight. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is from the PA, Honorable Hendricks.
Thank you, Chair, honorable members. I rise today on behalf of the Patriotic Alliance to speak not of abstract innovation, but of urgent inclusion. Our people wants to be included, and that is urgent. Digital infrastructure is essential for freedom, but many communities like Easterus, Eldorado Park, Bonteheuwel, Cape Flats, and beyond lack connectivity and access. No fiber, no signal, no stake. Broadband must reach the forgotten first and follow the inequality fault lines, with local cooperatives building it to create jobs in our communities, making connectivity a constitutional right. Cloud access must be local, affordable, and sovereign. Our spaza shops, our youth-led startups, our informal traders deserve the same digital tools as any boardroom. No more outsourcing our data. We build our own, we store our own, we protect our own. AI literacy should be widespread, reaching all communities and not just coding in Constantia, but robotics in Reiger Park. Our people are innovators who deserve a role in the future. This is not about gadgets. It's about governance, digital sovereignty, economic dignity, educational justice. The Patriotic Alliance advocate for digital inclusion in South Africa, ensuring every child has Wi-Fi, entrepreneurs can afford cloud services, and ex-offenders receive training, future-ready skills, so no one is left behind. Empowering our people digitally, economically, socially, and political empowerment. And that, Honorable Speaker, is true patriotism. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Sorry, I have lost connectivity on my. Can the chair just assist me with the next speaker?
House Chair, it's Honorable Denner next.
Thank you very much, Honorable Denner.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable House Chair, digital transformation is not merely a technological shift, but a socio-economic imperative for South Africa. The rapid development of artificial intelligence is fundamentally altering how businesses operate, how governments deliver services, and people interact with technology. To harness this revolution, we must focus on three critical pillars: strengthening digital infrastructure, expanding broadband and cloud access, and investing in AI literacy and future-fit skills. A robust digital infrastructure is the backbone of any thriving digital economy. However, we must be clear about the common barriers that impede infrastructure expansion. High capital costs for deploying fiber optic cables, 5G towers, and data centers often limit private sector investment, particularly in rural and underserved areas. Regulatory hurdles ranging from discriminatory and investment deterrent legislation, slow approval processes, to fragmented spectrum allocation delay network rollouts. Fraud and corruption, theft and vandalism of infrastructure threaten sustainability, while inadequate energy supply and unreliable electricity further undermine connectivity. Additionally, a shortage of skilled technical workers hampers the maintenance and upgrading of digital networks. Overcoming these barriers require coordinated policy reforms. Public-private partnerships, community engagement, deregulation of the private sector, and innovative financing models to ensure no one is left behind. Beyond infrastructure, universal and affordable broadband access is crucial, particularly for rural and underserved areas. Initiatives like SA Connect are vital for driving broadband expansion, ensuring that all citizens can access opportunities in education, healthcare, and e-government services. Supporting cloud migration for government services and small and medium enterprises and encouraging local data center development will further enhance data sovereignty and security. Yes, we must confront a sobering reality. According to recent studies, 80% of grade 4 learners in South Africa cannot read for comprehension. This crisis of foundational literacy is not merely an educational issue, it is a societal emergency. An education system that produces such outcomes cannot, in its current form, equip young people with AI literacy or future-fit skills demanded by the fourth industrial revolution. We must therefore invest urgently in teacher training, early childhood development, and evidence-based literacy interventions. Only by ensuring that every child can read, write, and think critically from an early age can we hope to build a workforce ready for AI, data science, and digital innovation. Crucially, for these pillars to flourish, we need agile governance and leadership. The rapid disruptions of digital transformation challenge existing policy and regulatory frameworks. By fostering public-private collaboration and financial incentives, we can deregulate the market effectively, allowing easier access for service providers, jobs and skills creators, and ensuring AI benefits all of society. Let us break down the barriers, address our educational crisis, and unlock the immense potential of South Africa's digital future. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Action SA, Honorable Beasley.
Thank you, Chair. We stand today at crossroads. South Africans' youth are told that they are the future, yet their lived realities tell a different story. For millions, the future has already been stolen by government failures. The numbers do not lie. Among young adults aged between 25 and 34, unemployment has risen from 31% in 2015 to more than 40% this year. 2 out of every 5 young people entering the job market today cannot find work. And this failure is no accident. It is the direct result of bad policy and poor governance. A tariff regime that drives up costs for local manufacturers, leaving them unable to compete internationally. an erratic foreign policy that alienates trade partners and threatens vital export markets, including the automotive sector, where thousands of jobs are being lost. Crumbling infrastructure, from Eskom's load shedding to Transnet's broken ports, which makes it impossible for industry to thrive. And the very institutions designed to prepare young people for work, the SETAs, have been hollowed out by cadre deployment. Instead of equipping young South Africans with skills, they enrich a small elite with inflated salaries and zero accountability. While government destroys jobs with one hand, it withholds the tools and skills our youth need to survive in the modern economy with the other. Chair, we live in a world where the global economy is increasingly online. Our youth cannot afford to remain locked out. Access to affordable, high-quality broadband is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It allows a young person in a township or rural village to design a website for an international client, to sell services online, to teach, to innovate, to code. But access alone is not enough. We must equip our youth with AI literacy and future-fit skills, software development, digital marketing, online education, and e-commerce. Without these, South Africans' youth are not merely behind, they're excluded from the global race entirely. Through the National Development Plan, government has committed that by 2030, every South African should have easy access to affordable broadband of at least 10 Mbps. Yet South Africa is nowhere near on track. And without urgent investment in digital infrastructure and skills training, we risk condemning an entire generation to poverty and dependency. Honorable Chair, the GNU may not be future-proof, but our youth must be. This is our collective national responsibility. Every party in the coalition government must own up to the consequences of failure and to commit to real change. If the GNU continues down this path, it will sacrifice not only the dreams of our young people, but the very future of our country. But if it acts, if it expands broadband, invests in AI literacy, and reforms our broken skills institutions, we can unleash the creativity, resilience, and brilliance of South Africans' youth. If not, this GNU will be remembered as a government that has killed a generation's hope. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a speaker of the ACDP? Not, then we go to the UDM, Honorable Montenya.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The injustice of the digital divide remains a harsh reality that entrenches inequality and condemns our young people, especially in mostly rural provinces, to exclusion. This exclusion is not as a result of a lack of talent, but a lack of access. While the government promised ICT integration in education, many rural schools still lack computer labs, reliable internet, and essential digital resources. By the time learners from these communities reach tertiary education, they face an uneven playing field, competing against better equipped urban peers. Digital inclusion is not about handing out smartphones. It is about equipping our youth with the skills to navigate the digital world safely and effectively. It is about critical thinking, coding, AI literacy, data analytics, and mastering the tools that drive the global economy. Without these skills, our young people remain locked out of opportunities. The UTM calls on the government to expand broadband, build computer labs, and train young people in both hard technical skills and essential soft skills. This is the pathway to reducing unemployment, growing our economy, and unlocking the potential of an entire generation. To achieve this, investment in digital infrastructure and literacy are critical. This approach will empower our youth, particularly in provinces that are more rural, stimulate economic growth, and alleviate the burden on government caused by lost productivity. Let us prioritize digital inclusion, create real opportunities for our young people, and ensure that no South African is left behind in the digital era. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a speaker for Rise? Bosa? ATM? Then the next speaker is from the DA, Honorable Singh.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Honorable members, as we navigate the fourth industrial revolution, it is imperative that we continue to strengthen digital infrastructure, expand broadband, and unlock the potential of cloud services for all South Africans. This is not a luxury, but a basic need essential for South Africans to access the opportunities available to them. Unfortunately, successive administrations have not been at the forefront of ensuring that all South Africans receive the basic service of connectivity. For years, South Africans have been deafened by promises of universal broadband. Yet, deadline after deadline has been missed. South Africans left offline are the casualties of past governance failures. A recent report by ICASA highlights the sobering reality and the scale of the challenge inherited by the seventh administration. South Africans mostly have to travel to access the internet, as only 14.5% of South Africans have fixed internet at home, with many rural districts sitting at an appalling 2%. The DA-run Western Cape leads the country, having the highest rate of fixed internet at home at 40.1%. ANC provinces must look at this as a blueprint. South Africans not having internet access at home is an urgent task for the minister. While further broadband rollout is underway, we welcome the minister introducing a tax break on smartphones costing less than 2,500 Rand. This is a step in the right direction, opening access to a sector with huge job-creating potential. The DA welcomes the allocation of 710 million Rand over the medium term to roll out broadband. However, we are concerned that the overlapping entities the minister has inherited will hamper progress. In addition to SA Connect, the main entity responsible, there is Broadband Infraco, Centec, and the State Information Technology Agency. It is DA policy that we rationalize these entities which overstep each other, costing taxpayers more and little to show in return. We trust that the minister will achieve creating a single, effective entity that works with the provinces in rolling out high-speed broadband to homes, schools, police stations, and hospitals. As this is an ANC-sponsored debate, following instruction from the president, here is what DA governments are doing. Take note. In the Western Cape, broadband initiatives in schools and community centers have dramatically increased access. The city of Cape Town has successfully deployed cloud-based municipal services, enhancing both efficiency and accessibility for residents. These successes showed that where the DA leads, results follow. Fiber to the home subscriptions have reached nearly 1.5 million, and 5G coverage extends to almost 40% of the population. Under DA leadership, these gains will be scaled nationally as we seek to govern for all South Africans. To achieve this, the minister will pursue clear priorities. 1. Infrastructure with accountability through rolling out fiber and broadband to rural areas with set measurable targets and published progress reports. 2. Ensuring connectivity is both accessible and affordable through opening the internet market, accelerating spectrum release and 5G rollout. And 3. Investing in secure, world-class cloud services and partner with the private sector to support SMMEs and startups. The cost of inaction is stark. Digital exclusion entrenches inequality, limits economic growth, and drives talent abroad. Imagine every school connected to high-speed broadband, every clinic accessing specialist support online, and every small business reaching global markets via the cloud. These are achievable realities if we act decisively. Minister Solly Malatsi has the mandate, the vision, and the political will to make this happen. This parliament must support delivery, demand accountability, and ensure that South Africa not only catches up, but leads in the digital era. The fourth industrial revolution will not wait. South Africa must act now or risk being left even further behind. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next speaker is from the ANC, Honorable Sapo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. If you could allow me not to show my video because of my connectivity issues.
It's fine.
Thank you very much, Chair. The critical imperative of investing in artificial intelligence and future fit skills is an undertaking that is essential for South Africa to secure sustainable growth and truly realize the strategic objectives of the National Democratic Revolution. Now, as we forge ahead in this era defined by technological revolutions and digital transformation, our ability to harness the potential in artificial intelligence will determine our nation's trajectory towards a more inclusive, innovative, and resilient economy. Of course, Chair, our journey begins with the recognition that supporting research and development in AI and machine learning is fundamental. It is for that reason that the ANC believes that scientific inquiry and technological innovation are vital drivers of economic progress. We must prioritize funding in fostering research in these cutting-edge domains, ensuring that our universities and research institutions become hubs of excellence in HI. By doing so, we affirm our commitment to a knowledgeable-based economy rooted in ingenuity and the quest for solutions that serves our people's needs. While developing university curricula focused on AI, data science, and robotics is another cornerstone of this strategy. Our education system must adapt swiftly, embedding these subjects into the core of the higher education sector. This is not only prepares a new generation of skilled workers, but also encourages an entrepreneurial mindset and innovative spirit among our young people. As part of our policies, we should promote STEM careers that are accessible to all, especially in marginalized communities, to bridge the digital divide as per the matter of DSTI, that of placing science, technology, and innovation at the center of government, education, and the society at large. The ANC's policy position emphasizes the importance of equitable access to opportunities and ensuring that no youth is left behind in this transformative era. Now, Honorable Chair, on the other side, the rapid growth of Shane and Temu has displaced over 8,000 jobs in South African clothing, textile, and footwear industry between 2020 and 2024. To mitigate these job losses, strategies should focus on promoting local e-commerce and digital retail platforms, investing in workforce reskilling programs tailored to digital skills, and supporting domestic manufacturers through incentives and modernization efforts to enhance competitiveness and create sustainable employment opportunities. So, Honorable House Chair, to catalyze an AI-driven innovations within industry, we must create tangible incentives for partnership between government, academia, and industry players. Such collaborations will accelerate the development and deployment of AI solutions, particularly in sectors critical to our development agenda, including needs to support retail workers facing job losses due to automation and digital transformation. Reskilling these workers is vital to ensure that they adapt to the new roles within the digital economy while maintaining employment and economic sustainability. Investing in reskilling initiatives can promote inclusive growth and help mitigate inequalities caused by the technological disruptions. Now, linked to what then I raised earlier on promoting entrepreneurship in AI-driven startup is another pillar of the ANC vision. MSMEs are the engine of growth and employment. Therefore, we must provide necessary support in terms of access to funding, mentorship, and market to foster innovative AI startups that addresses local challenges. Encouraging such entrepreneurship aligns with policy emphasis on building a capable and vibrant small business sector that can compete globally. Hence, establishing national standards for AI safety and responsible deployment becomes important to ensure that our technological advancement uphold our constitutional values and social norms. Now, implementing policies and programs that promote youth participation in innovation ensures that the next generation is not only consumers, but active creators of technological advancement. Youth-led innovations, competitions, and incubation programs should be integral of our strategy. Investing in AI and preparing our youth with future skills are not mere strategic choices, but they are moral imperative rooted in our fight for social justice, economic equality, and national sovereignty. As a liberation movement committed to building a better South Africa, we recognize that science holds the power to transform lives, create opportunity, and ignite hope. We must seize the moment with courage and resolve, and ensuring that our AI serves the interest of our people, especially in the marginalized and vulnerable. The little that we are not worried about is to go and bench in a DA-led province where people in Inyanga and down there in Khayelitsha are still struggling. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any speakers of Al Jamaa, the NCC, the UAT? Good. The following speaker is from the DA, Honorable Mazoni.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Labuskaghni. Today we speak on a matter that is no longer about the future, but about the now. Artificial intelligence, AI, is no longer confined to Silicon Valley boardrooms and university halls. It is in our phones, our businesses, our healthcare, and increasingly our public services. It is reshaping the global economy, and countries that embrace it are racing ahead. So let's ask ourselves, where is South Africa in this race? Chairperson, if we do not embrace AI with intent and urgency, the consequences will be severe. We risk becoming globally uncompetitive. While other nations automate and scale their economies, we will remain trapped in outdated systems and declining productivity. We will see a deeper digital divide where only the wealthy and urban elite benefit from AI, while the majority, especially in rural areas, are left behind. And crucially, jobs will be lost, not because AI took them, but because we failed to upskill and reskill our people in time. Let me be absolutely clear. The danger is not AI itself. The danger is being unprepared for it. We are already seeing AI being used across Africa to predict crop diseases, improve education outcomes, and power mobile health services. If we delay, we will become consumers of other countries' technologies instead of creators of our own. We must now move beyond fear. Too often, the conversation around AI is dominated by doom and gloom. It will take our jobs. It will make humans obsolete. It is too dangerous to touch. This kind of thinking is short-sighted. We do not need to be afraid of AI. We need to understand it. We need to regulate it, and we need to use it responsibly. Chair, I'm being interrupted.
Yeah. You can continue, Honorable Mazoni.
Thank you, Chairperson. We do not need to be afraid of AI. We need to understand it, regulate it, and use it responsibly. With proper safeguards and ethical use, AI can create more jobs than it displaces, especially in new fields like machine learning, robotics, data ethics, and AI system maintenance. AI can make government more efficient by reducing red tape, improving service delivery, and cutting corruption through smart automation and oversight. AI can empower small and medium enterprises by giving entrepreneurs access to tools that used to be reserved for large corporations. The key to unlocking this potential is governance, education, and political will. As a nation and a responsible parliament, we must now develop and pass AI strategies that put South African values, inclusions, and innovation at its core. We should look towards establishing regulatory bodies that ensure transparency and ethical use of AI, certainly not one filled with cadres, but with qualified experts. We must safeguard our citizens by strengthening data rights, algorithmic transparency, and cybersecurity. We must invest in digital infrastructure, especially in rural communities. We cannot have anyone left behind. We must equip our people, especially the youth, with skills to thrive in a digital economy. We must teach coding like we teach maths. We must teach data literacy like we do reading and writing. Chairperson, South Africans are not afraid of hard work. They are not afraid of change, but they need leadership. They need vision, and they need a government who sees opportunity where others see risk. AI is not here to replace us. It is here to assist us, to amplify our efforts, not to erase them. Chairperson, let us be the nation that did not fear the future. Let us be the nation that shaped it. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nkosi, it is your turn to end the debate and answer on the debate. Honorable Nkosi from the ANC.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable members, fellow citizens, youth of our nation, as we look to the future, it is clear that strengthening our digital infrastructure is vital to unlocking South Africa's full potential. Expanding broadband connectivity and cloud access across all communities must be prioritized, ensuring that underserved areas such as rural, township, and informal settlements are brought into the digital fold. Investments in artificial intelligence, literacy, and future-fit skills must accompany this infrastructural expansion, empowering our young people to participate meaningfully in a digital economy that promises new opportunities and innovations. By equipping youth with the necessary knowledge through targeted training programs, integration of digital skills in education, and subsidized access to technology, we reinforce our commitment to social emancipation and economic transformation. Furthermore, fostering collaboration between government departments and public entities is essential to ensure that these efforts are coordinated, efficient, and impactful. We call upon upon all stakeholders to work together in designing and implementing initiatives that leverage technology to reduce inequalities and create pathways for youth to thrive. It is crucial to involve young people actively in shaping policies related to science and technology, giving them ownership of the innovations that will define our nation's future. We challenge our youth to harness science and technology to develop sustainable, inclusive industries that address national pressing issues such as unemployment, inequality, and poverty. By integrating our efforts into global innovation ecosystem, we position ourselves as active contributors to the worldwide progress while addressing our unique needs. Together, through strategic investment, collaboration, and youth empowerment, we can build a future where technology truly serves the people, fostering a more just and prosperous South Africa. Honorable House Chair, at the heart of the transformation is the digital economy, which is becoming a significant driver of growth. The e-commerce sector, in particular, has seen a rapid increase in recent years. This isn't just about corporations. It's about the e-commerce value chain creating jobs at every level, from logistics and digital marketing to customer service and content creation. It also provides a lifeline for small businesses, offering them a platform to reach wider audience without prohibitive cost of physical store. By using digital tools, these businesses can make their products locally and internationally, leveling their playing field and fostering entrepreneurship. It is highly important that we invest in digital infrastructure, such as national broadband network and promoting the rollout of fiber to the home, the FTTH, and public Wi-Fi networks in low income and rural areas. This aims to provide alternative, more affordable data options and bridge the gap between the poor and the rich. Infrastructure is only half the equation. We can't thrive in a digital world without a digitally skilled workforce. Artificial intelligence literacy programs shouldn't be about creating artificial intelligence experts overnight, but rather about ensuring everyone understands what artificial intelligence is and how it can be used ethically and productively. By focusing on both our digital infrastructure and the skills of our people, we can ensure that South Africa doesn't just adapt to the fourth industrial revolution, but it leads it. Let's work together to build a future that is inclusive, prosperous, and technologically advanced. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkosi. That concludes the debate and the business of this virtual mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise.